Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining our session today about DevOps crash course end-to-end demo. Just for your information, this session is recorded and will be shared on YouTube. So if you don't like to be recorded, I will kindly ask you to leave. Okay, so I think most of you already knows me. So let me kickstart directly. Um, Okay, so our agenda today, first I will start by giving an overview about, a very high level overview about what is the DevOps is. And then I will talk about the DevOps roadmap. So from my perspective, what it should be the roadmap for DevOps. After that, I will explain the benefits and why the community and the network is really very important when we're talking about it's not only for DevOps, but for building skills and upscaling, now in the field and the industry. After that, I will explain the continuous integration and deployment CI/CD lifecycle. So how we start looking at lifecycle as an end-to-end, then followed by a demo. The first demo we will see is continuous integration demo. This will go through all the process of the CI. And then we will see the second demo, which is a complete end-to-end, including continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline with version control and so on. Okay, so overview about DevOps or high overview about DevOps. Okay, if you start Googling the DevOps, this will be the first, usually the most important sign when we're talking about DevOps. However, if we start looking at how many people in the market or in the industry treating DevOps, if you look at that sign, for example, it's including plan, code, build, test, package, deploy, operate, monitor. But however, as I'm explaining, there is many people in the industry or the market still treating DevOps as automation or maybe continuous integration or continuous deployment only. So, but DevOps is more wider than just an automation or just some configuration for infrastructure or, it's just a complete and entire end-to-end life cycle for the entire, development life cycle, including even the perception and the retirement. So all the stages of the DevOps or the disciplines of the DevOps has several, practices. I will say, skills, tools, platforms, qualifications that you need to understand and like practice on them. So, and again, it's not just one area that you need to understand when we're talking about DevOps. So it's a complete or many disciplines and areas. So this is why when we're talking about DevOps, we talk about being a DevOps engineer or being a DevOps is all about, being a T-shaped skills because it's just cross-cutting or, like it's span across many disciplines. So you need to have some skills in the planning, how you structure the team, because either you will be structuring the team or be part of the team. So you need to understand how to deal with this structuring, like being like Scrum board or, Kanban board or velocity, interacting with the team and sprint planning or daily Scrum meeting or, when we're talking about code, many of the DevOps engineers, they don't like to code, for example, which is something, it must be, you have to have development skills, not only for the code area, but also for infrastructure as code, for example. So again, DevOps being a T-shaped skill, it requires many skills in many areas, but you keep just the depth of information is only in the domain knowledge. So let me give you more information about how I see the roadmap based on how the function, the skills and qualification required to be a DevOps engineer. So based on this idea of the T-shaped skill, and the knowledge and skills that require to be, to start your DevOps career, which require again, I will say, starting some, it's I don't want to say I don't want like to say like a little bit of depth inside each discipline, but I will say enough to understand and to functional work, as a DevOps engineer. It requires all of that. Again, it's not only one discipline or one area, but it requires information in all of this. This is why, for me, when I start looking at the DevOps roadmap, I saw the better is to have a complete end-to-end, like a complete course that cover all the depths that is required to build your skills. So, and this is why I developed and designed this course, Advanced Introduction to DevOps, which has 30 hours. And this course is focused on, like upscaling you in all the discipline in enough to understand the complete entire life cycle to start your career as a DevOps engineer, to have all the foundation required to build, all your skills in the future, to understand the big picture. So this course is contain 19 modules with 63 lessons and 83 demos. And what we are going to see today is just 2 demos of the 83 demos, and it's just 3% of what included in the course. Okay, so in the complete course, Advanced Introduction to DevOps course, in 19 modules, we cover the entire life cycle, including plan, development, test, release, monitor, and there. For example, when we're talking about plan, we understand how to structure project backlog, how we manage and assign work items, structuring the backlog, understand and track the velocity of the team, how we can have a transparency progress for all the entire team and the entire development. We also talking about development and test, so how we can manage our source code and how to working with version control, how to have build our unit testing, build automation, and have a quality gates around the CI. Then moving to release, so how we can provision our environment in the fly. You start creating the environment from the beginning, which is from nothing, and then you start deploying the application to the provision environment. After that, automating an end-to-end or acceptance testing, and after that, you promote an application from pre-prod or prod or UAT or to a production, and then followed by monitor and learn, where you will monitor your application, how you monitor your application usage, also for performance, and also understand how to get this feedback and link this feedback to the backlog, so you can transfer this feedback into your backlog, so you can develop this. Either this could be like enhancement or new feature for your product. So it's again a complete end-to-end that covers in the 19 modules. Okay, let's talk about community and network, because this is really very important. So again, having a network, in our course, we have more than 120 people in our network now. And so again, I believe this is really very important to have what I call building, a high professional network, to use this network. So we have people like with 20 years of experience up to, we have people just, with very, a very fresh graduate to up to 20 years of experience. So we have different years of experience, and we also have people from different location and different time zones. So this is also really very important to have like diversity around the area, and also then I will not say the industry, but I will say the market, so we can understand and sharing many of what we have. So we took this opportunity to build a professional network. So we sharing job opportunities, we building a COP or community of practice that I will show you, or center of excellence, and also open source project for and GitHub, study groups for exams, organizing that and sharing the knowledge between us, sharing use cases or business cases. So having really a network is really priceless, and we try to really working hard to have that in place. So, and also the mentor program is all about how we can help people. So the expert people can mentor, just the fresh people, or the mentee people. So we provide the network and the platform where people can interact with each other too. So if you are a mentee, for example, you are looking for a mentor, then you can find your mentor. Or if you are a mentor who is like to help others, then you can help people or mentor them. So okay, so the COP and the COE. So again, one of the really big benefits of having this network is that we have a COP, and I will show you some of our activities, the upcoming activities. So for example, if we start looking at COP, so it's all about having a group that really have concern about domain, and in our case, it's just DevOps. And by having this domain, we start, gathering, have regular meeting, and sharing knowledge and information. And the benefits, it's having a group learning, because we learn from each other and our experience, sharing this experience. We have domain relationship between, because you keep your network in the field, and of course, innovation problem solving, because we're sharing how we solve the problems in different ways. And when we start about Center of Excellence, the main idea is we start focusing on building assets that we can use, to accelerate our community work or even our work. The main idea is that we have, we have this group that we can build these assets. Let's talk about continuous integration and continuous deployment lifecycle as an end-to-end. So usually the lifecycle start with developer write code. Of course, there is a planning before writing code, but I will say just ignore the part of the planning now, because I wanted to keep it a little bit simple than the entire development lifecycle. So again, the developer start by writing some code and managing that through version control, and then configure a build automation or continuous integration that, this build automation run unit testing, make verification about that the code is running as expected, and all of this experience. Most important, once the CI completed successfully, then this will end up with creating the package of the application. Once the package is created, then the pipeline will start provision the environment. A new environment will be created, and then the pipeline or the CD continuous deployment will deploy the application to the environment. But for the modern engineering, they mentioned this is not really very good. Why? Because in this situation, every time we would like to deploy our application, we just need to build, because you just need build, package, and deploy. So if I would like, for example, to deploy my application to testing environment, pre-prod, or system integration test, or whatever, any environment, then I just need to build, package, deploy. This is why the modern engineering, they just suggested, or like talking about, we should have, or I don't like to say must, but we should have a middle step after we package, which is a store. So now it's all about we package our application, and instead of deploying this application to the environment or provision the environment, we start storing the package. And again, while this step is really looks very simple, but it's completely changing the way that the software engineering industry operates. Because, for example, now if I would like to deploy my application to a new environment, I don't need to build. I just pick the package from the storage and then redeploy the application. So that's very simple. So I have also, I can have a full audit about my packages in the store, because now it's not just like you build and then deploy and throw it away. No, you just store it first, so you can have like manifest where you have like what inside this store and what in and what out. So you have a full audit with a a very high traceability about this storage. So yes, so this is the main idea. And during the course, to just understand the version control lifecycle completely covered in module 6, continuous integration lifecycle completely covered in module 7, and the package management lifecycle completely covered in module 8, and continuous deployment lifecycle completely covered in module 9. After module 9, we covered infrastructure as code, because in module 9, we created or provisioned the environment manually. But in module 10, we start to provision the environment automatically as a part of the continuous deployment pipeline. Okay, so first demo, we will just cover the first part, which is continuous integration pipeline. Okay, so to just give you what you expect to see in the demo and the workflow of the demo. So we will start by having, as a developer, commit a code which will trigger the continuous integration. And this continuous integration will run a bunch of quality criteria, including, compile the application, running the unit test, checking for code coverage, for testing coverage, and many things. And once we complete everything, then this, if nothing is working fine, then we need to fix that. And after that, when we complete fixing everything, this will be, passed. Okay, let's see the demo. So let me here open the repo on. So if we get for this repo on GitHub, let me show you here. This is the outline. This is the demos. And this is the source code that we will use during our demos today. This is the guides. This is our QA. And this is our COB events. Okay, so if we look at that, this is the outlines of the modules and what you expect, all the lessons, and for the entire course. If we look at that, this is the demos, and as you can see, we have 83 demos. And I marked the demos that you will see today, description of this demo. So for example, this is the first demo, create and configure continuous integration. You will find here, this is the free session. And the second demo, this is end-to-end CI/CD to deploy infrastructure and web application. This is a free session. And here is the description and what you expect to see in the demo. So if you would like also to understand what all other demos and what you expect to see, this will be enough for that. This is the source code that we will use for both demos. This for the first project, and this is for the second. For example, here we can see the Terraform code for the web application, the SQL, Azure SQL database with connection string and everything. And here will be the web application, including it's an MVC, including unit testing and everything. And this is the step-by-step guides, because, for example, if you would like to execute or doing this exercise exactly as you will see today in our session. So all what you have to do, if you are new, completely new, you can create it, and everything is for free. You can create a new Azure subscription for free. You just need to follow these steps, which require a credit card. It will not charge you anything. It will just, for activating your Azure subscription, it will give you $200 for 1 month. You can use them. So you have to do that. And also you need to create an Azure DevOps organization. Also, it's free up to 5 users. So you will just go follow these steps to create your Azure DevOps organization. And after that, you need to enable the parallelism. So you will need to, when you start like configure the pipeline, it will not work because you need to just fill this form from Microsoft to request enable parallelism. So again, this is all the steps you need to do with even how to activate that. Here, just to give you also idea about our community. So we have here all the question and answer. So people can ask in question, we answer them. Here, our COB community practice gathering. So we have session around, for example, some, how to prepare your CV or understanding the recruitment interview from some HRs. Or talent acquisitions. We also have some technical session about GitHub and the Azure end-to-end delivery from April Edwards, which working as a senior consultant in Microsoft. So we organizing several events here, and you can, you can just follow that and maybe understand what next. Okay, so now you understand this. So let me start with the first demo. After you creating all of that, we will start, you can start, of course, creating, the Azure subscription, the Azure DevOps organization, and enable the parallelism of the Azure DevOps. Then you can start getting the code. So as you can see here, I will start by opening the first projects, which you should download it from the Git repo. And then here, I just push my code to Azure repo. And here, this is all my unit testing code. As you can see here, this is some unit testing. Here, this is my application code. It's just a small business logic with average, smallest, and largest. Just small function that you just give some numbers and start returning. So I will start by creating a new pipeline. And I will select classic here to simplify and to give visualization about what we are doing. So this is where I put my code. I push my code, and here I will make an empty job. So here I will start adding some tasks. So the first task is NuGet package. So the NuGet package here, it will just to restore any third-party dependencies for my application. And here where, the source. And also I will use another task called use.NET Core. This is to install .NET Core SDK on the build agent on the fly, because I'm going to build the technologies that I'm going to use in this application is .NET Core, and .NET Core will not be exist on the build machine. So I need to just install the SDK so I can build the application. So here I will put the version of the SDK for .NET Core. And here will be the system variable for where to install the .NET Core. Of course, we have here user variables, and in the task here, I just use one of the system variables or the environment variables. Okay, I will add another task, and here I will just put the .NET Core, and this one, it has many subtasks. So for example, here it will be built, and here I will just put the name of the solution or the path of the solution, and I will save and this continuous integration build now. So this build now ready to build this application, and I will queue the build. This is the image that I will use to build the application. So as we can see, this kicks the build. And this is the summary. I can go for the details, open skewed now. So here, for example, we can see that it just get the build agent and start here downloading the version control, start here to restoring all the dependency of my application or the class library, and then going to install the SDK. Now it's complete, and then my build agent is ready to build the application. So now it's building or compiling the application, which will produce two DLL. The first is the application code and the second will be the testing. Let's look at that. This is a summary and here for the details. So if I start looking at the build, we can see that I have two DLL. This is the testing DLL, which includes the unit test, and this for the app DLL, or in my case, it's just a class library DLL. Okay, so now let's edit my CI. And then here I will just clone this task. And instead of build, I will select test because I'm going to run unit testing. And here I will just, this is just the display name for the logging. And let me duplicate this page. So what I just need is the name of the test project, which is called test project 1.cs proj. So this will be here, this, the path to the project. And I just need some switches so I can generate the code coverage and the test result. Just keep it very simple. I'm using the search so I can show you it's really easy. We can see here, this is a switch to get the TRX or the test result file. So I can put this argument. So when running the test, it can produce the test result. And this is for calculating the code coverage. Just to put this argument as well. Okay, so now I have put it. Let's now save and queue. So now, if I run the build, this will start executing all the steps before, and in addition to that step, it will run the unit testing. So as we can see now, I have 3 total tests passed. Let's look at the log. So we can see here we have 3 total tests, and all of the tests are passed. And here, this is the test result which published on the test plans on Azure DevOps. So we can see here now, this is the test runs, and I can see here, this is a test build. I can see here, this is the 3 test methods with all the test run results. Okay, and this is the name that who run the test. And of course, I can create bug if this is, for example, a test failure. Okay, let's discard that. And of course, I can also add metadata for the analysis for this test. Let's say, for example, yes, like, you just add some comments about this test so you can get back later understanding these comments. Of course, also I can use this dashboard. Let's get back to now to refresh here. We can see this is the test passed percentage 100%, and the code coverage also is 100%, as we can see. So I have here 3 passed. And for this code coverage, it's 100%. Okay, let's add the pipeline. So now if I change the trigger to be continuous integration, and let's save that. So once I change this trigger to be continuous integration, it means that whenever I will push my code to the remote repo, it will trigger a CI build and execute all the tests. So for example, here, what I'm going to do is just remove a semicolon. So this will give a compile time error, of course. And here I will just push this code, commit and push. So this will trigger the continuous integration pipeline. As we can see, now it's triggered automatically. And of course, I can go look at more details. So as we can see, for the build task, we can see that it's failed because it was expecting a semicolon, which does not exist. So now the CI preventing me from having, like a code or mistakes in my code as a compile time error. So I fix that. And I will add, addition one because the average, because this method calculate the average. So this will return a wrong value for the average. And because I have a unit test, the test make sure that the average is working properly. Then let's see what will happen. So again, I push the code, it automatically trigger the continuous integration. And now we can see that it restored the package, installing the .NET. I just speed that. So when it comes to the tests, we can see that I have 3 tests, 2 passed and 1 fail. Let's see the details. So we can see here, for example, this is a 3 total and 2 passed, 1 failed. And of course, if I click on the test run result, which published on Azure Test Plans, we can see that here, this information, I can see the test result here, for example, the test average failed. And of course, as I explained before, I can create a bug, assign this bug. For example, yes, let's assign this bug to rehab, for example, or someone to fix this bug. Very easily to do that. Oh, okay. And if let's go for the code coverage now, we can see that the total passed for the test 66% and the code coverage is just 97%. So if I click on the test passed, we can see that because I have 3 tests, 2 passed, 1 failed, this is the percentage, and I can get more information about why the test failed and all of that. Okay. Our CI again, and what I'm going to do is just look for a task called build quality. So build quality by default is not installed. So you just need to install this extension on Azure Pipeline, get it for free, and then you will just install this extension. Once installed, I will just add it to my pipeline. Now, in this build quality, I will just enable the code coverage policy. So the code coverage policy here, I will just put a fixed threshold. Let's say, for example, 50%. So what I'm configure here that the code coverage must, be more than 50, equal or more than 50% for the test coverage. Of course, now we have 97% of the code coverage. So let me first save that. And then what I'm going to do is I will fix the average, and I will go for the test and just comment to test method. So to, reduce the coverage. So now the coverage will be less. And just, of course, I can compare to understand what I change here in the local repo. And here I will just push these changes. Once I push that, again, it will kick the build or the continuous integration. The continuous integration will run, doing all the previous tasks. And when it's come to test, now it's passed because all the tests passed. But now it checked the build quality or the test coverage. So we can see now the build or CI fail because the code coverage is less than the quality criteria that are specified, which is here is 50%, but the actual is 48%. And so, of course, if I come here to see the result after popping that, also I will put another task just for NuGet to package the application, because now we check for the build quality, but as we explained that the last task in the CI should be package and store the application. So here I will create the package, and here I will start my project, select my project where I would like to package. Here I will just put the configuration, which will be the bug in my case. So this is the command line here. So this command line will just to display the package that will be created on the build agent, so I can show you. And I will just use, list all the files created with recursive using switch with dir, because this is a Windows build agent. With a Linux, of course, I'm using another command. Okay, so here I will just uncommit one of the method. I don't have to uncommit all of them. And of course, just to push my code. So now, as we can see, the build starts running. Doing all the same test, and here the check build quality, the ones that failed last time. So now we can see the build quality passed because I passed the code coverage threshold, and now also the package created. So if I look at the test, I have two total tests, both of them passed. And when I look at the build quality, so I have 77 code coverage. So it's passed the threshold and the package is created. And of course, if I start looking here, we can see that the package is created. And of course, if I start looking at the command line to show you where is the package, we can see that the package is created with and compressed with a zip file. You see all the file on the build agent, all the file, if I would like to examine all the files. And of course, I can see that the total coverage from outside either the test or, the test coverage or the code coverage for the test. Okay, so this was the first part of the demo. Let's move to the second part, which is the last part as an end-to-end project. So again, the main idea of this demo, we will see an end-to-end start from the beginning with module 6 to the end, which is the deployment as well. Okay, so what we are going to see in this demo. First, we will start the demo by committing our code to a local repo, and then pushing this code from a local repo to a remote repo, which will trigger the continuous integration, which we will build also in our demo, validating our code, start running all the verification and quality gates. And once everything is completed, then this will create the infra package, which is a Terraform in our case. This will bring or grab all the Terraform files and infrastructure as code into the infra package. And this will be the infra package created. And then it will also bring all the web application package, which including some C#, and some CSS, HTML, and then just put them also, compile them first, and then put them in the web package. So now I have two packages created as a part of the CI. And then the last step of the CI is just storing the packages in Azure Artifacts as a storage area. So once this pushed to Azure Artifacts, this will trigger automatically the continuous deployment pipeline. So the continuous deployment pipeline will be triggered. The first step is to start pick up the package from the storage area, which is Azure Artifact in our case, start extracting Terraform file, and then installing Terraform on the build agent on the fly, and then installing Azure extension as a plugin so Terraform can interact with Azure Cloud, and then executing Terraform plan, which will provide me a Terraform plan, and then applying this plan, which will creating a resource group, service plan, app service on Azure Cloud, setting the connection string that will communicate with Azure SQL Server database, and then creating also the Azure SQL database and Azure SQL Server first, and then Azure SQL database. And after that, it will also enable the firewall or give an exception in the firewall for the SQL, so the web app can communicate with the SQL. All of that as a part of the infrastructure as code for the CD. And then now the environment is provisioned completely, so the continuous deployment pipeline will pick the second package, extracting all the web application files, which is the CSS, HTML, all the DLL, and start deploying that to the provisioned web application. And then after that, I can browse my application and navigate to my application. So let's see this demo from the beginning. So this is the Parse Unlimited application that I showed you in the beginning on GitHub. Here, just to show you. So this is the source of the web application, as we can see. So what I'm going to do is just open a Visual Studio, and I will open a folder, navigate to the folder where you will download it from the GitHub. And then the first step here, just to show you here, this is the Parse Unlimited folder. I will create a Git repository. So here I will just existing remote, and I will navigate to Azure repo. And here I will just create a new repository, Azure repository. Just call it any name. I call it here parse E2E. I will not initialize or add README file. I will copy here this URL and navigate to my Visual Studio, put it here, and create and push. So this will again clone my application and just push all my folder to the remote repo. If I refresh now, we can see now I have all my app on Azure repo. This is the infrastructure as code Terraform files, including all the environment, and this is the web application. So this is the source code, my application. So now, if I navigate to Parse Unlimited, let's look at Parse Unlimited on the local machine. So if you run Parse Unlimited with the Visual Studio with the IIS Express, which is a local web server with Visual Studio. So this run Parse Unlimited project, which is an e-commerce for car parts. And this e-commerce website has what we call code first database. So it's provisioned the database automatically when it's run for the first time. And this database using a SQL Server Express, which is a local database on this machine. So everything here now is run locally. And of course, again, you can do the same. So as we can see, we have here, this is an e-commerce which has some batteries, oils, lights, and this is the name of the e-commerce, which is Parse Unlimited. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just again navigate and start building my pipeline. So here I will start by building a new pipeline for my CI. And here I will just use, of course, this is the repo, the project, everything. I will use a predefined template for the tasks. So this is just a predefined tasks. Instead of drag and drop the task, it will be just ready-made task or ready tasks. I will just remove these tasks because I don't need them. And this is the build solution. And with these switches, this will create the package, and this will put the package here in this folder. I will just name all my task is web build and package. Just name my pipeline, and here I will just put parts E to E CI. I will put the trigger as a continuous integration. So whenever I push a code, it will trigger. And here, this where I will just put it here, another task, which will be copy, because I need to copy the Terraform file to create another package for the infrastructure as code. And of course, I would like to create the package first, of the Terraform first. So I will just drag and drop to put it with ordering, the right order. And here I will navigate to where my source code of the Terraform. And here where I would like to put, the copy, because this will copy the Terraform here to a folder called Terraform. So now I completed the CI. Let's go for the CD. So I'm going to create a new CD pipeline, continuous deployment. And here I will select Azure App Service because I'm going to deploy to App Service web service. Let's say call that QA. And here I will specify the source for the artifact. And in my case, it will be first selecting the CI, because this will bring the package from the CI. And I will just name here the CD as parts E to E CD. And in the trigger, I will enable continuous deployment trigger, which means that if there is any new package pushed to the storage, just to trigger this continuous deployment. This is the main idea. And here I will just add another task for Terraform. Again, Terraform by default is not installed, so you just need to install it the same way that I installed the build quality. So the first task will be installing Terraform, and the second task will be initialized. So here, let's specify exactly the Terraform version. And here, this will be initializing Terraform. And as we can see, this is a command initialize. And here where I specify where I would like to initialize the Terraform. And since I didn't run the CI before, it does not exist here. So let me first put, this is the Azure subscription, which I have. If you don't have, you just need to click authorized. And here, I don't have to put anything. I can put anything because this will be provisioned on the fly. I mean, for example, the resource group will be created on the fly, the container, all of that. I will not maintain the state for Terraform because I wanted to keep this demo simple. Then I will clone here the Terraform, and in this case, I will apply the Terraform plan. And of course, here I will select the apply command. And here I will just put the switch auto approve because usually apply require confirmation with yes. But since this is a silent mode, I put auto provision. And here I will just put the Azure subscription connection string. And the name of the app service plan, which will be created on the fly, I will just copy from the infrastructure as code, which I have in the repo. Now I have it here. So now it's ready. So as I said before, it's better to run the CI so I can easily navigate to where the place. So here I'm running the CI for the first time just to create the package. So, and of course, it's better. Here is running, as we can see. So this is copy or creating the Terraform package, storing all the dependencies of the web application. I can see a question. Yes, please. You are on mute.
Yes, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
For the CD part, so can we access to the package directly from pipeline CD, or we should do it CI? We should prepare the package with CI, and after we consume it with CD. This is my question.
Exactly. You should, the last task of the CI is storing the package in the storage. And the first step in the CD is consuming the package.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yeah. So as we can see now, it's building the application. So here, if I navigate now to the package, of course, let's disable the CD now, the continuous deployment, because I don't want to trigger the CD now. Because here I'm just trying to generate the package or create the package so I can easily navigate to that. So this is the drop, the package location. So it's stored, as we can see here. This is the web package and the Terraform package. So now if I navigate to where I would like to initialize the Terraform, we can see now because the package is stored already, I can select where it is. Of course, I don't have to run the CI first. I can just hard code, or not hard code, I mean, I can just put the value here directly, but I want it to be very easy for you or visualize that for you. So here I can navigate as well. This will be the web package. This, of course, for Terraform package for apply, and for deploying the web application, also because the package is stored, I can easily navigate. But again, I don't have to do that. I can just put the path if I know the path. But of course, this is very easy to, to browse and select. It will be much easier for you. So if you, for example, have any spaces or misspelling, it will not be a problem. Okay, so now my CI ready, my CD is ready. I will enable the continuous deployment. Continuous integration already enabled. So now all my CI and CD ready. So let's close that. I will just open the CI and CD so we can see them when they are running. Okay, so first let me open my Azure subscription where we can see what is the existing resources, because this will going to provision the resource on the fly. So this is the current resource group. I just have them. Okay, and this is the Terraform. So this will be the resource group that will be created, which is called Web App Terraform Resource Group. And this is the web app. Here, this will be the SQL Server. And this is the SQL database on Azure. And this is the connection string for the configuration for the web app, including the username and password. Of course, you can change that based on your value that you will use it in this demo. Here is the password. So what I'm going to do is just to change a simple page in the home page. So instead of parts unlimited, I will just write DevOps course by Muhammad Radwan. And I will just push my code again, commit and push. So this will trigger the continuous integration. So again, just imagine the workflow that I showed you before. The continuous integration will start restoring the package, building the, building, compiling, testing. Once everything is working fine as expecting, creating 2 packages. So if we start looking at the history, for example, we can see this is the changes I made. Here's the parse unlimited, and we can see that. So as we can see, it's start building the solution, publish artifacts, which is 2 packages. Of course, if I refresh here, nothing, because this is still in the CI. So if we start looking at publish artifacts, now it's complete. If I refresh, we can see that the CD is automatically triggered. So if I open the QA, you can see now it's queued, waiting for a build agent to be available. Now it's available, it gets the build agent, start deployment. So I can refresh, we can see that this will be, of course, the name of the resource group, again, including Terraform. So if I go, for example, for resource group for my Azure subscription, I don't have any resource group with Terraform, as we can see. So, and here's the Terraform apply, start applying, nothing yet. Let's remove the filter. I can also get for the details of the Terraform execution. Let's say, for example, we can see here it's creating. We can see here SQL Server creating, app service plan still creating. So it's still creating all the component. So let's go here, refresh. Now we have it, the web app Terraform. So if I just filter, just show you here, it's only one resource group which is created, still empty because still in the process. Now the service plan created. If I navigate back here, I can see here SQL Server still complete, now complete, creation complete, and SQL Server still creating. Yeah, the app service complete, but the SQL Server is still creating. So if I refresh now, we will see the app service created as well as the service plan. And creating. Yeah, you must go ahead, please.
Yes, just question. Did you use service connection here to deploy from Azure DevOps to your subscription on Azure?
Yes, when we configure, if you remember, when we configure the app service, let me show you here. When we configure this is a service connection. So as you can see here, this is existing service connection, and this is the subscription. So I already have existing service connection, which is exist on my Azure DevOps. And this is why, again, if you don't have any service connection and you are the owner of the organization and have access to your Azure subscription with admin permission or owner permission that you can create a service principal, then you can just click here, authorize, and authorize will just create service connection behind the scene.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so here creating. So now if we get back to, this is a SQL Server, let's refresh still. Now firewall is complete, which means that the SQL Server is completed, and also the firewall rule of the exception. So if I refresh, we can see that now I have the SQL Server, but not the SQL database yet. And if I navigate to the SQL Server network, I can see that I have enabled or exception for this firewall rule. Still the database still creating. Just now it's complete for the Terraform provision. So all environment is provision, and now start deploying the application to the provision environment. So if I start looking now, we can see that this deploying the application, extracting the file, deploying the application. Now it's complete, deploying the application. This is the web app. And if I navigate to the configuration, I can see that I have now a default connection string, including my username and password. So all this information I configure through the Terraform file. And if I navigate to my application, you can see now I have my application deployed to Azure resources and it's working properly and using Azure SQL database. And of course, we can see that I have here the names that I just changed. So it's just like one change, small change, I do it in the local, which triggers the CI and the CD and all of this process, including provisions the environment as well. That's it. I think nothing more. I would say yes, you can share the feedback, please. We have, if you can put the link for the feedback form in the chat window, and also you can scan this to get to the feedback form. And of course, if anyone has any questions, I would like to, I would be happy to answer. Any question? Okay, it seems.
Can I ask you an off-topic question? Because in my job, I was trying to create a pipeline that transfers portals from one Power Apps environment to another. But I couldn't get it to work because when I was creating the deployment profile, I didn't know where to take some of the values from, like site setting ID or snippet ID, because when you open this in the repo, you get loads of site setting IDs and snippet IDs. So
yeah,
I mean, I was following the method from the tutorial, but it wasn't explained exactly how to create those deployment profiles.
Deployment from file, you mean YAML, using YAML?
No, so I created the pipeline using the classic editor, and then I created a folder called deployment profile in the repo. And I needed to commit some values into it, but I didn't know where to get them from.
Yeah. Yes. If you have, if you can produce a case and you can send me, I mean, for example, I can help with that. So no problem if you can, because it would be much easier to see the, exactly the case.
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
Yeah. Sure. If you have any other question, no problem. By the way, if it's off the topic as well, no problem. But just, I mean, if question where we can understand exactly the case, so I can just answer.
I might send something, just.
Yeah, sure. Okay, if there is any other question?
Yes, I have another question. I like the presentation. Thanks for the presentation. So, for example, today we do it with the classic pipeline.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have time to present the same thing, but with the YAML. I know it will be more difficult, but yeah, I think now Microsoft recommend to work more with the YAML part.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem. Of course, and our session today is finished. So if you're talking about future session, actually in the course we have one demo for YAML. Actually, the main idea for me is to the most important for me is that people understand the practice and understand, because maybe you will not even using Azure DevOps, maybe you will using Jenkins or maybe using GitLab, So in the end of the day, you would like to, or I would, prefer that you understand exactly the process and the main idea, but either using YAML or, or Classic or maybe even another platform is not a problem. I have a video on my YouTube channel. I have more than 400 YouTube. So I have, I think it's very good because I have many reviews and which explaining doing a multi-stage build using YAML. I think this will help you. But again, it's very easy as well. I will say again, it's based also on your preferences using something with visualized or YAML,
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay. Do you have any question we have in the chat window or?
No.
Okay. So any other question before we close? Okay, great. I think that's it. So thanks again for joining and looking forward for having you again.
I have just one question, please, Mohammed.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. How you passed the secret variable to your Terraform? What's the best way to pass the secret variables on your
in my
Terraform?
demo, in my demo, I use plain text. I don't use any, so
But-
it's to keep it simple.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So there is many ways that you can manage secrets. I will say the first one is using, when we build the variable, as you can see, I can use variable, and with the variable I using as a type of secret, as a secret. So this will, it will make the variable, no one will know the variable. So this one type, and I will say this is a weak way. Okay. Another one that you will using, for example, something like secure file, and then you putting that, and also you can put that as a, as a variables on Azure pipeline as well. So this will be a general variables, could be secure file or general variables. And the best way, this could be the second way, and the third one or the best way, it will be to secret management, services. Like for example, in our case, it will be Key Vault. So this will be, I will say the best option for managing secrets by storing the secrets in Key Vault services, which will be usually managed by IT operations or administrators, because at the end of the day, no one will give you or let you to put just a secret in the pipeline directly in this way. But again, to keep the demo simple, we're just using plain text. I hope this is
Okay, thank you. I understand that.
I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
So if we have two build pipelines created in the classic editor, and we set the solution name at queue time, is it possible to pass this solution name from the first pipeline to the second pipeline, which is automatically triggered without using variable groups?
I didn't try that before. So I would say usually with sometimes, these cases or comes to my mind, and the only way to understand, I didn't use it before, so the only way to understand it will be the experiment and see if it is I can pass or not, or maybe I can look at that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the end, I don't see any problem to pass. The main idea. Once you understand how the pipeline is work, you can change everything. Especially for the YAML, because you have really, I will say, you have control over everything. You can check out from multiple repository very easily with the YAML instead of the classic, because the classic, if you remember, in the classic, we just specify which repo. But in the YAML, this will be just a line. So you can add many lines with multiple checkout with many repository. So, I think it will be applicable. It just like I just need to experiment that. That's it.
So would you say it's better to develop pipelines in YAML rather than in the classic editor, or does it?
For me, I don't
it
usually
depends.
say. Okay, sorry. Carry on, please. I'm sorry.
So would you say it's always better to develop a pipeline using YAML rather than the classic editor, or it depends?
It always depends. For me, when usually people ask me about two things, I will usually say it depends. So I will say there is still many situation. I mean, YAML has very flexibility, but also to maintain. I mean, for example, some of the its benefits, and I will say its challenge as well. In YAML, you can use a reusable YAML task, for example, which I worked in a one big project that had huge reusable YAML tasks, which could really big mess, because you don't know, and we need to have like a map, which because in the YAML you can make something like include when you can say include, and then you can bring another YAML part in to be used in another pipeline. Again, this could be a good advantage, but if it's misused, it end up with like huge spaghetti, and But again, for me, I will say it depends on the use case and the scenario. So both of them is working fine. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the presentation.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Okay, great. So thank you again, and looking forward to see you again. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay. Thank you.